The Biden administration has announced it's reclassifying cannabis as a Schedule 3 drug. Currently, cannabis is classified alongside heroin and ecstasy as a Schedule 1 drug. And for cannabis companies across the US, this causes a lot of problems in terms of the operations of their businesses. And so the major problem that cannabis companies face is that they are unable to expense their operational expenses until after they've paid tax. And so when you compare that to all other businesses in the US, this puts them at a significant disadvantage. And so right now in the US, cannabis is considered a controlled drug. And banks in the US are also regulated by the Fed as well. And so what this does, it basically prevents any banks from providing their services to cannabis companies. And so what does this mean? This basically means that cannabis companies in the US, they operate using cash. When they're paying staff, they're paying them in cash. When they're paying their suppliers, they're paying them in cash. And so when you consider that, there's a whole host of risks that come with that. For example, as a cash-heavy business, they're at risk of theft and robbery. They're more susceptible to that. When you're handling cash, money can go missing. It becomes a lot harder to account for money when it's all in cash. And so on top of that, one of the things that makes it highly likely that cannabis will be rescheduled is just around the fact that it makes it harder at the moment for governments to audit cannabis companies. If you're making payments in cash, it means that there needs to be a physical exchange face to face. What does this mean? It means that you have to go and pay a visit to a supplier directly. A supplier may need to come to you, or customers need to come to you. It's not something that can be done electronically within the space of 10 seconds. And so again, this whole rescheduling and the introduction of a new act, an act called Safer Banking, is going to really change the game for cannabis companies in terms of operational excellence and operational efficiency. With money, it's a lot harder to account for where money is. It's a lot harder to track where money is. And so because of this, it's very difficult for outside investors to effectively value a cannabis company because they're using cash. I think certainly for a lot of investors, they're not very confident. Once this Safer Banking Act comes in, once cannabis businesses are kind of almost judged and recognized as being legitimate businesses, and in turn what this is going to do is going to bring confidence into the cannabis industry from investors, from bankers, potentially bringing a lot more investment and money into the industry as well. And so the rescheduling of cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 is pretty much almost the first step for cannabis companies to almost be recognized as legitimate businesses that can operate as if they are a legitimate business as well. And this is kind of almost going hand in hand with the Safer Banking Act. It's almost like these two tailwinds are working kind of synergistically, hand in hand. And so what this should do is this should enable cannabis companies to start accepting card payments, to start using card payment systems, to use online banking and to undertake digital payments as well. It will enable cannabis companies to subtract operating expenses before paying taxes as well, which is a huge advantage. It puts them on par with other businesses, which again, what does this do? It helps to free up potential cash flow for them to invest in the company, hire more staff, focus on expansion of the business as well. And then maybe it even opens up the opportunity for them to start selling products online with some kind of age verification system. Like I was saying, because the business operates with cash only, they are completely marginalized and cut off from e-commerce. And so these are huge catalysts which pretty much transform the cannabis industry from the way I'm looking at this. Enhancing financial stability, boosting operational excellence, which in turn is going to boost investor confidence in this space, which in turn should see a rise in stock prices for cannabis companies as well. And so you can see this purely by this comment from the Department of Justice, who state that this transition is potentially going to open up the opportunity and allow for a multi-billion industry to develop. And this is the Department of Justice saying this.